When does a coach offer a suggestion? One of the best ways to offer a suggestion is around offering a tool or a framework or a evidence-based technique that might be able to be used in a coaching session to help a client continue to grow, continue to move forward with the coaching program, and be able to almost self-coach themselves even beyond the coaching session. The general rule of thumb, especially when beginning the coach training process, you want to avoid suggestions almost entirely, though. Anything from like a personal, this is what I would do if I were in your shoes, needs to be kept to minimum, if not less than minimum, like 0 is ideal. We want to tone down that muscle as much as possible so that we know when we should use that muscle. It's very similar to the idea of a closed question or an interruption. However, in coaching, really anytime we move into a suggestion of this is my opinion of what you ought to do or ought to think, that's really going beyond coaching and therefore doesn't really have a place in the coaching space. So setting that type of suggestion aside, we're looking at suggesting a possible direction of where the conversation could go around a tool or framework or exercise technique that fits what the client is talking about, their agenda, their outcome that they want from the coaching session, or something that helps them address an area that is a part of the session where they're kind of stuck. So here's some general rules of thumb on how to do this. First off, here's a demo of what it would sound like. Hey, client, based on what you're saying you would like by the end of the session, I might be able to suggest a couple of directions we could go. We could look at tool A here, and here's the outcome of what this tool could provide. Or we could look at tool B over here, and here's what this one could do. Which of these tools or what else might you like to focus on with our coaching session going forward here? You'll notice a few different things. I try my best when offering a tool or framework to have more than one option, and I don't put them in any order. After offering a tool or framework, even if it's just one, just say, is this something you'd like to make a part of our conversation today, or is there a different direction you'd like us to go? We want to make sure we are creating a partnership around the tool. And again, another part of the competency of direct communication, one of the markers of success is I'm not attached. I'm not attached if they say, I don't want to use A, B, C, D today. I'm good. Then great, let's go a different direction and keep digging. But oftentimes a client will appreciate this, and it's often when they're feeling stuck. They don't exactly know where to go with the conversation. Or maybe they're even directly asking their coach for advice. That can tend to be the best place to offer a tool, framework, or whatever. Just something that helps guide the conversation without making the coach go into full-on expert and advisor mode. It's a great way to contribute to the overall growth of the client and discussion. Now, on that idea of being an expert, a good tool is going to be one where we could be like, oh, here's the information from the tool. Let's look at it together. Not let me bring this to you. I'm the expert about it. Let me teach you it. That's teaching, that's training, and that's different from what we're talking about. We want to look at this information together. We're going to learn about this client and their reflection through the tool together. I don't know what that has to do with it, but hopefully that helps make a bit of sense. We're not coming at it from the expert or trainer mode. We're learning together through this technique. Tools should never run the session either. Once a client digs into a tool and they say, sure, we can definitely add that to the session, I think that'd be great. The coach should have these check-ins built into the exploration of the tool. Every once in a while, you want to check back in and see if this is still the direction they'd like to go. Once they're buckled in, they have to be able to unbuckle if they'd like to. We don't want them to feel stuck for 30 minutes in our little tool or framework if it's not really working for them. So we want to check in. Is this tool or framework working for you? The best tools are able to open a conversation further, not just grab at a solution. Now, there's some tools that can be very useful in setting up action steps and plans and accountability. Those are focused on narrowing, but they're not the depth of coaching. Great tools and frameworks are going to open up clients' awareness and not have a specific direction, especially that they have to go with the tool. Personally, this is just my opinion, I like to avoid over-branding a tool. When you look at all the different programs out there, all sorts of different interventions, especially in the evidence-based side of things, the evidence-based work that's out there, like emotional intelligence, work in cognitive behavioral therapy and cognitive behavioral coaching, and many other wonderful evidence-based theories in practice, those are core, and there's going to be some overlap between these evidence-based concepts and all the branded stuff out there. Like, oh, here's my acronym. It's really a combination of cognitive behavioral therapy and emotional intelligence. Therefore, you need to pay me $19.99 or something like that to buy my tool or technique. I just don't like that personally. I think that I never want to charge for a PDF. I never want to charge for a proprietary product that's based on a synthesis of other people's tools and techniques that are fully evidence-based. I just want to reference, this is a synthesis of these tools. That's why I'm using it. That's a bit of a soapbox for me, but I think that helps create, if it's over-branded, if the person's charging for it, sometimes charging beyond the regular coaching, in my opinion, it can maybe create a sense of psychological, an environment that's not as psychological safe as what we like. They need this tool to work because now they've invested money in it, and it wasn't an expected expense. Again, my opinion there, though. Great tools help a client self-coach. And this is something that might be a bit of an opinion, but it's also something that generally, again, my opinion, great coaches believe by the time I'm done coaching someone, they ought to be able to self-coach and grow on their own in that area of their life. They should be able to go on their own. Now, this doesn't mean that a coach can't work with a person for 5 years, but every so often, every 6 months, maybe every 12 months, they need to refresh what the focus of the coaching is. Because if we've been coaching on career development for a year, that person should have their muscles in that space exercised. And now we can pivot to a different element of their life and their development. Maybe they're going to more so look at, instead of career transitions, now they're going to look at leadership development, executive communication, whatever it might be. But we're going to refresh that. And so a big theme for good coaching tools is that these help the person continue to coach themselves. Whenever they run into a similar situation, they pull this idea back into their mind, and they're able to make the most of that experience they had with their coach on a similar related issue. And I think that about wraps it up. As I'm looking at my notes here, we want to open the conversations. The tool never runs a session, and we want to partner around the use of it. Hey, client, if you want to have a better understanding of how to prepare for meeting with your manager tomorrow, there are these really useful frameworks that I've picked up in my coach training, and here they are. Would you like to use either of these in our coaching session today, or is there another direction you'd like us to focus on? That partnership helps provide direction without going into expert mode. Hope this is helpful. Keep coaching, keep growing, and thank you for tuning in.